This is a 100-year project that never threw anything out. So we've got 750,000, we think, of these. The editing work of actually producing the final dictionary has been a mere 48 years. Okay, so this is a fascicule of the dictionary. This is fascicule number 13. We've done what we set out to do, and it's time to leave it and allow people to use it. The Romans used Latin as a native language, and that native language developed over the years. So the earliest Roman texts go back to the 7th century BC, and Latin continued to be used by people as an everyday language right the way down to the present day. It's just that nowadays we call it French or Spanish or Italian or Romanian or whatever. With the fall of the Roman Empire, people continued to use Latin without those sort of changes as an administrative language, mainly in writing. That written language tended not to change very much, but one thing that it did change in was its vocabulary. The medieval period, there were new inventions, there were new discoveries, there was trade with new areas, and if you have new words, which you're not going to find in a classical dictionary, where do you go to look them up? In the 19th century, people had the idea that it was time to have a new dictionary of medieval Latin, but didn't quite know how to go about doing it. The Oxford English Dictionary had been founded in the middle of the 19th century, and one of the people who contributed an enormous amount of material to that through their then reading programme, people reading texts, compiling examples and sending them in, was an Oxford historian called Robert Whitwell. And on the back of that, he had the idea maybe that the same sort of thing could be done for medieval Latin. And so in 1913, he came up with a proposal, first sent to the British Academy and then ultimately to the International Congress of Historians, who said, oh, this is a jolly good idea. And he published a letter in the Times looking for volunteers. So what you've got here are about 250 boxes containing all the slips that we have used over the years. All the slips that were sent in by people who read their texts, came up, wrote out examples according to their instructions, and then sent them in. So you've got this description here of what the coat of arms is going to look like, but then you've got a picture which helps you to be pretty sure what they mean when they say that this is tripled or quadrupled, triplicatum or quadruplicatum. Here's quite a typical example. You've got the word at the top. In the top right-hand corner, they put a meaning if they could work out what it was. They were to give a date if they knew what the date of the text was. Then to give an abbreviated form or a reference of some sort saying where they had found this example. So we've got 750,000, we think, of these. We collected an enormous number of books, as you can see, over the period of the project. This is printed at the front of the dictionary. This is a rather dog-eared copy now. You can see how much it's been used over the years, which lists in alphabetical order all of the abbreviations that we've used in the dictionary. So we know that this is Abbo, he's A-B-B-O, he's at the start. Then we've got Adam of Usk, Alcuin, Come. The next few weeks they're going to be going back either to their libraries, or if they belong to the project, we are donating them as a collection to the Bodleian Library. That first 25 years at least was always going to be hard going. Some of the slips are more legible than others. Let's find some of the better and worse examples. This slip, the main writing on it is the writing of B.W. Swithenbank, who was a colonial administrator in Burma. I reckon he must have contributed, well, certainly more than 10,000 and probably more than 20,000 slips from about 1930 onwards. But they do start getting harder to be certain about. So that's been written over, and you can see where the assistant editor who's been drafting this section has tried to make it clear whether the letter at the end of a word is an O or an A, for example. Editing work only started properly in 1965. So the editing work of actually producing the final dictionary has been a mere 48 years. The previous dictionary, Ducange, was by no means so easy to use, and also its definitions were in Latin themselves. So you needed the dictionary to use the dictionary. The final part of the dictionary came out last year. That covered SYR to Z. The last word in Z is zithum, which is a sort of beer. It's actually a classical word. In classical times it was a kind of beer which came from Egypt, and it's used by, in fact in this case actually a 16th century author. Those are the examples that we have. But yeah, that occasioned a certain amount of celebration, not with beer but in fact actually with champagne. After 3,850 pages, having got all the way from A to Z, that is a kind of natural ending point. And while you could go back and revise parts of it and do parts of it again in the way that a dictionary of a current language is constantly being revised, in our case the amount of new material that's coming to light that would radically change what we've already printed is relatively limited. I think all those people who've worked on it over the years have felt a pretty passionate commitment to it. Whether that was the initial volunteers, the editors before me, Ronald Latham, David Howlett, devoted large parts of their life to this project. There have been 15 of us as assistant editors over the years who've also devoted many, many years of work to it. And so I guess our feeling now is one of achievement. It's a good result.